ML Nation, this is Simon Chan. I am fired up to bring one of my good friends on the show. I've been wanting to get her for a long time. And hey, God's calling. We finally have her on here in 2020. We have Leigh Barnes. Hey, Leigh, are you ready to make it happen?
So ready. 2020. What an honor to be a guest at the first of this decade. I mean, come on. 2020 is going to be a big year. I'm ecstatic.
Leigh Barnes, ML Nation, is a Southern girl from Memphis. If you can't tell from her accent, it's a Southern girl from Memphis, Tennessee, who has been an entrepreneur for over 28 years. She got started when she was just a teenager and created her own private label, Wedding Veils. That eventually led to building a massive business. And in 1997, she became the youngest at the time to earn the Small Business of the Year award presented by Ernst & Young for the city of Memphis. And it was just not a small, tiny town. It's a big city. Very, very impressive. Leigh, however, experienced some life changes, including when she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, which changed her life forever. She credits her deep faith in God and her fighting attitude to help her battle disease and to change the direction of life. These life changes eventually led her to network marketing, in which Leigh and her husband became multiple six-figure earners and has won numerous incentive trips. So, Leigh, I've given ML Nation just a brief intro, but why don't you share your background? I think you have a fascinating background. You never really had a job except for when you were maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. How did you get into becoming an entrepreneur? That's the first part of the question. And then from managing hundreds of employees, being, how did you transition and get into network marketing?
You know what? That is probably one of the most crazy, fascinating stories, but I really never even dreamed of doing what we've done. You know, I'm almost 50 here, and I cannot believe what's happened in the last, 30 years. First and foremost, I just credit most of it as a gift. Every one of you are born with a perfect gift. And I think Simon says it the best, that little fingerprint is one of the most powerful things. And some of us don't even understand it. And when I first started in the business world, I literally wanted to make money. I'm very driven. I've always been driven. I wanted a house by the time I was 16. I wanted a car by the time I had, I wanted everything at a young age. I wanted to live all of life. So it didn't surprise me at 35 when I was diagnosed with cancer. Being a hard-driven person, I don't think I had really enjoyed all my fruits of my labor. And sometimes you got to take a step back to go forward. And that's, passion and God, I think, got me to where I'm at now. But I will tell you, it's taken incredible leaders, mentorship. I've learned 2 secrets to business. One is greed, get it out the door, and pride. Those 2 will ruin any business. And I can say that from sheer learning and sheer understanding because I've been there. And I've lost it all. I've gained it all. I've been at the tippy top. And looking back, the best part of the whole thing was the journey and the people you surround yourself with. So great question, but honestly, it's just all the man upstairs. You learn real quickly who's in charge of everything, and it's just not me. I can only put the little power behind what goals and aspirations he's given me.
So how did you get into network marketing? Who introduced you? What happened?
A dear friend out of Memphis, Tennessee, Patty, just basically came over to my business office. We owned bridal shops at the time. And I had at the time about 23 employees. We had a manufacturing part in the business. And I'm back there working and I'm gluing sequins on shoes and rhinestones. And she comes in, she goes, "Leigh, I got something you can make some big money in. You got to check this out." And I had never heard of it. Now, keep in mind, I'm married to a very smart businessman. My husband was a CPA and a financial advisor. He also ran the bridal side of our business. And when he heard about it, he was like, "Oh my God, it sounds great." Well, it's just like anything else. If somebody catches excitement, it is contagious. So at first, I didn't really get it. It was the telecom industry. It's one of the top companies in the industry that ever hit $1 billion, the fastest in the direct sales industry. And I got the pleasure to be in the center of it. But I got in on the tail end of the company. So I did get to hang out with great people. I did get to hang out with the former Paul Orbison, a very famous MLM guy who actually made $1 million a month for over 18 months. And I got to hang out with him on a private ranch one time, private airplane, private helicopters, bunkhouse and all. And I got to see a vision of something I'd never seen. Number one, I saw a community. I couldn't believe the collaboration of a community coming together with just so much energy and love and excitement. That was contagious. The second thing I saw was the fact that these leaders that were making all this big time money were willing to pour into little old me, who, I was a bridal person at the time. I didn't have any understanding of this industry, but they were willing to pour in knowledge and scripts and understanding and training, which is the reason why I absolutely love MLM Nation, because you do. You pour into people that are just average Joes that can go change the world. And he did. And I learned a lot from that, and then fell in love with the industry, and then the company fell apart. Fast forward, I went into a different direction after I had breast cancer and found out about another top skincare company, got involved only because I had a need. And timing and need and passion are three things I always say you need. Timing, need, and passion. Timing, because if it ain't right, it ain't right. It's got to be right. Whether it's your job you don't like, whether it's your boss you don't like, maybe you don't like your circumstances, you don't like your company, whatever it is, there is a timing issue. Maybe family situation, things change. Need, I had a horrible need. I had horrible skin. After going through the ravaging issues of cancer and surviving a blood clot through the heart, I realized I looked really ugly. And there is something about a female, we don't want to look ugly. So got involved with the company. I used the products, and instantly it changed my life. Instantly. And I remember the passion, we always talk about that 12 inches, 18 inches from the head to the heart. Well, it went from the head to the heart, and I became a walking billboard and exploded the company. One of the first 6 top positions in the company. And looking back, I did not necessarily appreciate where I was. I didn't enjoy the journey because I was so big on the race. I'm such a racehorse. I want to run, and I put those blinders on, and I just go for every incentive. And looking back, I don't know, what gets that into somebody. I don't know. I mean, if you're on this call and you're listening, you're probably sitting there going, well, I want that same drive. I can tell you one thing I do every day. I always in gratitude. I have a gratitude list. I learned it from Simon. I've learned it from some of the top people in the industry. I always have 3 gratitudes every morning. And it could be as simple as I woke up and I'm not hurting. It could be as simple as I woke up and I got to see a sunrise. It could be as simple as I leaned over and the dog wasn't curled up to me way over the edge. The dog's right on top of my stomach in love. Whatever that is, it makes you humble for the baby steps. So not quite sure if that was the exact answer, but
yes, you touched upon so many great things here. And yeah, I mean, you said timing. I love it. You said timing, need, and passion. A lot of people talk about the prospects need it, and are they interested in the products, whether it's skincare or health or whatever, or travel, the services. But people forget about timing. Time is really important. You can give the best presentation by the top leader in the company, but the timing is wrong, people are not going to join. But if the timing is right, there's a timing for everything. And I love the fact you talked about the gratitude list and embracing that journey. So let me ask you something. You've been in network marketing for a while. What are some of the, how did you do once you got started?
I remember one big thing I did do, and I learned this from the previous company that I learned from Paul Orbison, who really taught me a lot. He said, if you're not in front of them, somebody else is. If you're not in front of them, somebody else is. I also took that from the real estate world because I kind of fell out of the wedding world, which I'll briefly explain why. The day you pull up to a job, the day you pull up to your company, the day you do anything and you hate it with a passion is the day you need to do something different, period. And I was about 30. I had earned a tremendous rewards and done extremely well in the wedding industry, but I pulled up and I hated brides. And I remember thinking, okay, I do not want to do another wedding. I don't want to ever see another bride, and I don't ever want to see another sequin in my life. And my husband said, what? I said, I'm done. But I fell in love with the network marketing bug because it provided such a giving environment. Whereas in the retail space, I'm taking money to do a job, and I go do that job, and it's fine. I may have seen generations get married, but what happened was I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So the passion started when I got the opportunity to really sit back and look at what I was doing, and I decided, this is something exciting. I can change lives. I get to work my own hours. I'm going to work harder than I've ever worked in my life, which don't think this is easy. I never tell anybody it's easy, but I always explain how many jobs do you get to work, but you get to build a residual income on even part-time or full-time hours, and there's no finish line. Like, you don't have to say, I got to do it by this month. No, you can build it and build it and build it. It takes years. I always say, everybody will say, why are you so successful? What do you do? And I go, well, first off, I'm not afraid to fail. I fail all the time. I'm the worst at every job because I will run and work so hard to fail. I don't really care. Yes, no, maybe it'll work. I do try to stay consistent on systems. I'm huge on systems. I believe everything you do has to have a system. Whether you thank people, it's a system. Whether you have a new contact, it's a system. Everything's about systems. And then the other thing I'm absolutely passionate about is people. Trying to help people get to the next level. I think in our business, people take, and they're not willing to be a giver. And you mentioned how did I become successful? Well, Paul Orbison said to me, he said, you're not in their living room, or you're not sharing it, or you're not showing it, somebody else will. Secondly, if you don't continue a system or keep them in the loop, when they decide, they're not going to remember you. So it's critical to always be remembered. Even if it didn't happen this year, it may happen next year, it may happen 2 years from now. But timing is issue. Then the other thing is say it loud and say it proud. So I told, when I first started in my skincare company, I remember getting a room. I booked a restaurant. I said, I'm going to do a restaurant. I'm just going to invite people for lunch. Everybody has a lunch. If you're in business, you have a lunch. Get as close to the people you want to be around. Have lunches in their backyard so it's easy and convenient to get them there, and be consistent. So I said, you know what? Every week on Wednesday, I'm going to be at this restaurant this time, and I'm going to make sure I'm presenting. Didn't know the presentation, didn't even have much except a laptop and a little speaker. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to push play, and I'm going to say it loud and say proud. And I told everybody in that room I was going to make millions of dollars. Do they want to join me and be a millionaire? And I was committed, and there's an excitement to that because I was scared to death. But there was also a passion because I knew what it did to my skin. I knew what had happened. I was excited. So when it comes from the head to the heart, you're an automatic beaming light. And it's just like you're a light. You're a light to a lot of people in this industry. And the one thing I can say, it's superpower. You asked me, what was my superpower? And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? It's about being a light. If you walk into a dark, dark room, and you turn a light on, and I want you to imagine a funnel light, one of those big headlights that are tall and round, and the light pops out the top, it brightens the entire room. Well, when you walk into any space, whether you're recruiting, whether you're prospecting, maybe you're at a networking event, the one thing you can control is your attitude and your light. And that's all I focused on. I focus on being a light. I focus on being a light and being a giver to whoever's in that room. And I always am very, very cautious and thoughtful of who can I help. And just like you are a God thing. I met you at a Philadelphia meeting with Mr. Heilig, and I remember just loving your spirit. And it's weird. The attractions of the universe work. Good people find good people. Negative people don't have any friends, or they don't find anybody at all. So it's surround yourself with great people. I think that's a key.
To talk about the light, yes, I remember that event. It was a couple of years ago, and when I walked in, we briefly met Christy, right? Christy Kranz.
Yeah.
Shout out to Christy Kranz, a big fan of MM Nation, connected me with Leigh, but it was just, brief 5-second in the hallway. And then I was a speaker at that event. But at the VIP reception, I walked in, and, Leigh was that light. She was, I just saw this little huddle of people around her. And you weren't even one of the speakers. I was like, Leigh, it's big time here. You have the little huddle of people she's sharing, but you're providing value. You're inspiring people. And that's what it is to be the light. Like, whatever value you have, MM Nation, share it. Right? Be out there. Don't be, stingy. Don't be stingy. Hog it. Share it out there. And I love what you said. You basically answer so many questions. What you share, like, be remembered. That is so important, MM Nation. People, they may not join you. They may not say good things about you. They may not have bad things. But the worst is when no one's talking about you, right? Because then you're irrelevant, right? If they say good, and I talk about this in my coaching, social media, people say good or say bad. That's okay. The worst is when people say nothing. Because it's not about networking. It's not about who you know. It's who knows of you when they go out there, right? That is networking. And I always, and Leigh has done such a great job. Like, every time I go to Dallas, whether we connect or not, I'm actually thinking, like, Leigh Barnes is here. I should drop her a note, right? So it's not about who you know, and it's who knows of you. And MM Nation, if you're hearing this, it's like what Leigh said, be the light. Provide value out there. Give. All right, let me switch. There's a whole bunch of other things I want to talk about. You get so much value there. You talked about consistency. How important is consistency to success, Leigh?
I think of consistency as sometimes it's boring. I mean, doing the same email or doing the same birthday message or doing the same text message or doing the same call. And sometimes you as a leader or an entrepreneur get bored. One thing I try to do is always pour into myself good people, meaning I listen to good podcasts. I listen to daily devotionals. I do things to really focus on me internal. This business is like a protection. You have to protect your mind. I'm a big fan of like the helmet. Imagine a helmet a football player uses. Well, you need to have an entrepreneur football helmet because your game day ain't going to happen if you do not wear your helmet. It just, I mean, can you imagine a football player on a football field without a helmet? I mean, come on.
Boom, boom, boom. Yes.
You
You need that helmet, the rejection, the ridicule, or the just problems that come up. You need that helmet. I love what you said. You can't go out there without that helmet.
You gotta wear a helmet. And one thing I think for business owners we're bad about is we think bringing in a new recruit or a new person that they are prepared when you got to remember they are on the football field with no helmet. And it's like teaching them, look, let me explain. This is what's going to happen. It's normal. It's human beings, and understanding that not everybody's your client, not everybody's your customer. Don't be so greedy. It goes back to greed and pride. Ask for favors, ask for help, ask for things you need, and then don't be so greedy. And when you get the information, learn to share and give. And I'm not saying give all the in-depth secrets of your business, but there's nothing I do that's not rocket science. Everything that you and I do has already been done. It's been done over and over and over and over. Nothing's new under the sun, just like it says in the good book. But I think some of us come from a world that we don't understand that light, and you don't understand your value to others. Sometimes you're in their life for only a period of time just to give them a hug. You might be just there for a word to get them through a rough time. You might be just there when they've got a family member in need and they need your services or your products. We just don't know the big picture. With consistency, I look at it like this. I have a thing called non-negotiables. Non-negotiables, and I have two. I have a business non-negotiable, and I have a personal non-negotiable. Now, both of these, I don't care if you're spiritual or not, these both go to God. They're me and God's personal goals together. I'll give you an example. My non-negotiable, and this is such a crazy conversation I'm having online. But what happened was I really wanted to make sure this year I did something different in my wake-up process. I wanted something different. I was tired of just waking up and maybe going to my devotional or doing this. I wanted something different. So I said, I'm going to do 25 butt kicks every single morning before I get out of bed. Like in a prayer position on my bed, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do it 5 days a week. And I started this a month ago, which is hilarious because I'm over there doing kick. My daughter comes in and goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting ready for the day. And there's something magic, but it's a non-negotiable between me and God. I can do 25 kicks every morning to wake me up, get my energy going, get me feeling good. And it's a non-negotiable, meaning can't bail out, and you better do your 5 days a week. I didn't do 7. I did 5. But what's fascinating is doing that makes you more energetic. It makes my whole routine changed. I love the new change this year. The other thing for business is I'm going to have 3 reach outs a day, 5 days a week, which for me is pretty easy. Some days I do 20 or 30 a day. But in my mind, I wanted a non-negotiable that I'm going to do in my business every day. So if you think about 5 days a week, that's 15 reach outs. You remember when I reach out, I may not do anything but say hello, wish somebody a happy day, want to tell them I'm thinking about them. It may not be about business. Sometimes people don't care about your business. They just care what you think and what you're feeling. And you even thought of me? Thank you. So don't take for granted the love you have and giving that love, and quit selling, because those conversations will naturally come about if you do it properly, period. So that's probably my 2 consistent non-negotiables this year.
Love it. And ML Nation, talk about discipline and consistency. It's a muscle. So even those 25 butt kicks, what does it have to do with business? Is Leigh does it every day, and it's like you got to be before you become, right? So she's being that person, even like 25 butt kicks, but doing it 5 days a week, builds that habit of muscle, builds that discipline, the consistency that allows you to do 3 reach outs a day, right? Because everything is related. It's like, and you start with small habits, right? You may not do 25 butt kicks, even if it's 5. And like Leigh says, she may sometimes do 20. Yeah, 20. Yeah, do something. But like I like what you said, 20. You know, sometimes she does 20 reach outs, but you don't need to do that much. But you need to do something every day. Like she's doing 3 reach outs a day. That's 15 people she's reaching out to in a week, and that compounds. So really good advice here. And let me ask you something. In network marketing, what was your aha moment, your light bulb moment, where you were doing well, and then all of a sudden you got it, and then the things really took off?
Ben, everybody probably on the line understands the DISC profile. I use DISC profile for everything. Matter of fact, you've spoken at a couple of my events for our team and some big events, and I'm always big on personality profiles. And I'm a very high D and a high I. And if you've never taken the test, it's a great test. I'm sure Simon's got it on one of the podcasts. But an I is an influencer. They like to just go. They don't really care about all the details. And D's are driven taskmasters. I mean, we task. I've got a checklist a mile long every day, and I do not go anywhere without my clipboard and my checklist. I mean, that has saved me my entire life. I never even get in the car without and if you want to know how easy it is, I'll pick you up a plain piece of paper and a clipboard. That's it. I just never leave home without it. But from a business aha moment, I probably think the number one thing I noticed was all of a sudden, it's not necessarily what I was doing, it was what the team was doing. And looking back, watching leaders be leaders. So if you're an advanced person in this business, you've seen leaders that disappear out of your focus. Maybe they don't join your team calls. Maybe they don't join you. I personally have felt that. And it feels like you're like, oh my God, my team's leaving. It's like your bunny rabbits, like I'm a big bunny person. So it's like duplication. My little duplicators are leaving the nest. And it was painful. But during that, I noticed the minute my leaders became stronger than me, that was where the magic was. And that took a lot. Remember I said greed and pride are the 2 reasons you'll fail in this business. Greed, because you're too greedy to understand this is about others. It's a volunteer army. And pride, because you're so prideful when it's going on and you don't have the knowledge, you don't reach out to leaders like Simon or mentors. And, one of the best leaders I've ever had in my life, he said to me, he said, Leigh, when you want to make 100,000, go find somebody that's made more than 100,000 to mentor you. And then when you want to make $1 million, go find somebody that's made over $1 million to mentor you. And I have done that with 3 top mentors. And I look back, those were some of the best learning experiences. And I have the big thing. Everyone wants to live on the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. And that's an Andy Rooney quote. And he's right. The journey is the best part. But as far as people and growth, my aha moment was allowing those leaders to spread their wings and go grow. And I didn't embrace that enough. I wish I had. That's a big mistake I hope nobody makes, because you need to just go, yay, I want to be the biggest cheerleader. And I'll never forget a really great mentor. She said to me, she goes, you want to be in the back of the room screaming with your little cheerleading hat and let them be at the front. And I'll never forget that. Never, ever.
And I think for people who are traditional business owners like yourself, it's a bigger transition, because when you have your own business, you're the CEO, you're the smartest person, right? You're the most experienced person. While in this business, the key to real success is recruiting people that are smarter than you and have a bigger network than you. That is the key what allows you to walk away. If you're the smartest and most network, you still make money, but the residual is going to be much, much harder. And it takes, like what you said, Leigh, you can't have that greed or ego, the pride. The pride has to move. And I love what you said, that Andy Rooney quote, like, happiness is in the journey. I always teach my purpose-driven networkers, like, the success is a letdown. When you get that, I'm sure, like, Leigh, when you got the awards, those trips, afterwards, you're happy for a split moment, and afterwards what? But the thrill is in the pursuit, is the person you become, the journey that you went through, Leigh. That's what gives you the satisfaction and long-term happiness. So thank you for sharing that. Hey, this is my favorite question. Okay, in all your years in network marketing, what is your worst moment in network marketing? to the point that most people will have quit, but you haven't quit, and that's why you're the leader you are today?
Okay. Great question. I think one of the worst days in my business, it actually came from individuals in my team. When you work with people and you love them and you care for them and you nurture, and if we're getting a bad signal, do I need to do something on my end? Are we
No,
okay?
we're good.
Okay. So what I was going to say is it came from individuals. And I honestly believe if you're spiritual, you can really understand this. Your light is very, very important to the world, period. Whatever your gift is, whatever God has given you is an incredible, and nobody has it except you. You're special in your own right. The problem is fear gets in, and when there's fear, it's like that helmet we talked about with football. If you allow that fear to get in, it's like a virus. It comes in and it attacks every cell in your body, from anger to hurt to pain to emotional, and you let your emotions run your business. And as females, we're really good at that. My husband works with me. We're a power team, and he doesn't let any of that mess him up. But for me, I had to really learn, I've got to put that spiritual helmet on and make sure I'm protecting myself. And the reason I say that is because I had an issue where I really, you care for people, you love on them, and you take care of them. And this one specific issue came back with very mean, angry words, and it hurt. I mean, words are painful to anybody, but it hurt, and I couldn't get it. Maybe I was dumb, maybe I was just stupid, but I didn't see it. And we all are blinded by our own stupidity sometimes. But it really hurt, and it took me for a tailspin. It took me for a good year tailspin out of my business. It took the air out of my wind sail. Or, that energy bunny was not the energy bunny. My battery was out. And I think it made me go down. And I always teach and I train. Our business is no different than any other business. It's a roller coaster. So if you can imagine the roller coaster, you're, whoa, excited. You're at the top. And then, oh my gosh, you got a negative comment, customer, a negative thing about your company, and something happens and you go deep. It's, can you survive the upswing? And I'm always teaching people, be consistent. It's about the consistency of being even and level. And if you can survive that, you can survive anything in business. Network marketing, all it does is brings out the good or the bad in your personal being. And I'm a huge fan of getting people to understand their own growth. You were there when I was teaching this class. I have a 777 class I teach. And it was the 7 basic principles to business. And you've got to be great at all 7 or you'll never be at the tippy top of anything in your business or anything in life. And they're as simple as imagine a wheel, and it's got 7 spokes. And many of you might have seen this from a Zig Ziglar. He actually came up with that. I loved it. I learned it when I was young. I listened to Zig Ziglar on those little, do you remember the little cassette tapes? Are you young enough or too old? Do you remember cassette tapes?
Barely remember them.
Okay. I have my own cassette tapes with Zig Ziglar. I was like 20 and I was listening to all this great stuff about business. And he had this thing about the 7 principles. He talked about where are you financially, 1 through 10? Where are you physically, 1 through 10? And being 10, you're at great point, 1 being not so good. Physical, I don't remember. Physical, financial, personal. How are your personal relationships? Who cares if you're a 10 in business and your family's falling apart and you're about to get a divorce? What good was that? He talks about personal. He talks about physical, financial, spiritual. We're all spiritual beings. We honor or we glorify. We all are spiritual. I don't care who you are. You are a spiritual being. You go to a football game, I guarantee you're spiritual about your team screaming on that sideline. There is a spiritual being in there going, yay! We all have it. But in business, you've got to understand sometimes your spiritual affects your entire business. So when your spiritual's not right, everything's out of whack. Another thing would be business. Where are you at business? 1 through 10. Where do you honestly believe your business is at? Missing 2 more. Come on, help me out, Simon. I didn't even plan to say that.
Relationships?
It was relationships is your family. That'd be, yeah. And physical. I know what it is. It's your finances. Where are you at financially? in your finances. Just because you've got a business that's doing $1 million a year, and I was doing huge numbers, doesn't mean I was doing everything right. It's what you keep, not what you spend. and you got to remember that. You got to say, look, I've got to make sure I'm keeping this for growth for my family and what I'm building this for. But I can honestly tell you, when those areas are perfect, it's just like Zig Ziglar says, take those little wheels and line them up. And I'll be glad to send you the list, Simon, if you want to post it. But it's kind of neat because you dot it, and then all of a sudden your drive is not too well. If you've got a 1 and a 5 and a 7, and put wheels on that baby, and it's a miserable ride. That's not what it's about. It's about balance in everything.
Definitely.
And I try to balance everything now. I'm much better at balancing. much, much better.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing. You're getting so much value, Leigh. We got to wrap up the show. Okay, but I have a couple quick questions to pick your brain. So these could be quick 1 or 2 liners. Okay. First one is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
Ooh, I like that. Okay, got it. You want that one first?
Yep, go ahead.
Stick and stay till you get your pay. And that came from Miss Stud. I love Kim. She's a brilliant, brilliant woman.
Oh, coming from who?
Miss Stud, Kim Clover.
Kim Cleaver, yes.
Yeah, I love her. I think you interviewed your show. She's just, ever since I was a young person in my previous company in my 20s, I will never forget that as long as I live. Stick and stay until you get your pay. Because people quit.
Yes.
Quitting is it's like, why are you quitting? Just because it gets a little hard, you don't have your 10,000 hours in yet. They think it's so easy. It's because we've had 10,000 hours of expertise in this industry.
Absolutely.
In the trenches.
And ML Nation, you can check out Kim Cleaver. We had her on the show. Just go to the ML Nation, to the podcast tab, and you can check out her show there. Hey, next quick question, pick your brain, is what is one habit that's helped you become successful, Leigh?
Okay, I got one. Daily commitment. And just back down to the non-negotiables. I have a non-negotiable with time and try to focus on my quiet time. And that's just something that I've done all my life. I've done it since I was a teenager. And I think quietness, even if it's 5 minutes, is better than, 8 hours of just confusion. And there's something magic about writing things down. In my gratitude list, I actually have a sheet it's a blessing sheet. I do the same thing. I have a clipboard and I have a notebook paper and I write all the blessings. And if you're starting out 2020, I'm going to give you this as an incredible tip. Go write every single blessing in your life. I mean, there'll be hundreds of them on there. Everything from, I'm thankful my parents are alive. I'm thankful that I've got a roof over my head. I'm thankful I have clean water. Do you know what it's like not to have clean water? I'm so thankful I have a toilet that works. I'm so thankful that I have money in the bank to pay my bills this week. I am so thankful that I've had food to eat. The basics of the basics. I mean, write down everything and then start writing the big stuff. Hey, I'm thankful I'm at this rank. I'm thankful I have this mentor in my life. I'm very blessed that MLM Nation gives away free value daily. I mean, come on. That is a blessing to you, to everybody on the planet that listens. So counting your blessings makes you humble. And remember, greed and pride will totally destroy your business. That's for sure.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
I think find somebody making more than you and listen to people that are doing better than you. Quit listening to people that have never done it. Quit listening to people that have never been in your shoes. Go with people who have been in the trenches. They're willing to work and they're willing to do what it takes. I get so frustrated. You and I have both been in the field. We actually worked. We put our hands in the dirt. We've gone out, and if you're a Southern girl, you know exactly what I mean. We're going to go out and hunt it, kill it, bring it in, shoot it, and clean it and cook it. Well, that is something because I've been there. I know exactly what it feels like. And you got coaches out there that are teaching you all these crazy things. They can teach you an aspect of our business, but they can't take you to the finish line. There's a finish line. You got to close a deal and you got to make money happen. You got to make the business happen. And sometimes it's working on your own personal problems to make that happen. And you got to have great mentors that have been there or done it. So I really appreciate you always being a mentor to me and giving me some great advice when I need it.
You're too nice. Thank you. What is your favorite prospecting tool? So say someone is interested in the business. What do you send them a video? Do you do Zoom? Or do you do what?
Actually
Facebook
created
group?
my own system. I used to use. Do you want specifics like
No,
company?
just in general. Do you use like a video? Do you use the
So
app?
I actually pre-qualify people. I've learned over the years, just ask the right questions. I tend to ask questions using the form, FORM. Y'all have heard that many a times: family, occupation, recreation, money, or motivation. And within 2 minutes, I can find out enough about you whether I want to work with you or not. Remember, some people should be your customer and your rep, and some should not. If you will avoid the pitfalls of trying to find the wrong people and focus on the right people, you'll do better. The problem is you run out of the right people because you're not out there. You're not networking. You're not in the community. You're not sending messages. You're not out there asking the universe what I want. So I tend to actually start the conversation. I want to know more about them. I learned a long time ago that video was such a key. So I tend to send video messages. I use quite a few very specific servers that I love. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing. And so I've overspent, and now I'm down to a bare bone budget that I love. I can do it. It's not something I have to have outside companies run for me. And I've learned I'm more happier than having to make everybody else happy, trying to fill up buckets and trying to make all these other marketing companies. So I'm very specific what I use. I teach my team specifically what to use. But I think text messaging and video chat are the most two basic. Matter of fact, that's on my blessing sheet. Can you believe in 2020, I can go live anywhere in the world on a video chat and thousands and thousands of people can hear me and see me? I mean, come on. We are so blessed. And you're sitting there going, I don't have any customers. I have no reps. Nobody will buy. It's because your fear inside is so overtaking you. You've not put the helmet on. Put your daggum helmet on and get out there and put your blinders and let's go to work.
What's your favorite app on your phone? Or do you have a favorite online resource like Dropbox or Evernote that you could recommend?
You know what? I started using something called LFI Shuffle. I use it every single day of my business. I never meet anybody unless they go into my Rolodex, and it's an automatic Rolodex into your system. Plus, I like it for two reasons. One is I like it because it's duplicatable. Let's say I come up with a great marketing piece and I want everybody in the team to have it. I can spend hours creating the most beautiful piece and my entire team gets it in seconds. So I love that. We have a system for that.
What is it called? Shuffle? What?
Yeah, it's called LFI, ELIFY, Shuffle. And it's an incredible system. If you want to text me or something, I'll get the link so everybody can get the cheaper price. I think I used to pay $20 a month and now I'm down to $10 a month. So it's affordable. But it puts my message out. I always say you have one chance to make a great impression. If you don't make a great impression, that person may or may not go to the next step. And just like Miss Stud says, they won't go to dance with you. So if you're presenting properly, you're more apt to get a dance. Yeah. If you don't present properly, they're not going to ask you to the dance. So I love that. And then I actually do a video conferencing system called BombBomb. I started 7 years ago. I built a system with them. Now they do all the big retail and real estate companies, but I've loved that company. Their customer service houses all my network. And then when I create content, the whole team can see it and use it. So cool. There's several systems, but it's affordable, it's manageable, and the neat thing is so duplicatable. And that's key. And that's that'll make you millions right there. Those two things will make you millions if you're on the call.
What's one book you could recommend? One or two books they could recommend to ML Nation?
Gosh, I got this great new book. Oh, and I've read it, and I don't even know her name. It's a speaker. You're going to have to let me go get it. I can't believe I forgot it. But I do read the Bible a lot. That's always my go-to product. But one thing I do like is I love inspiration. And Jim Rohn is probably one of my favorite casual speakers. I mean, you gotten the chance? Did you get to meet him, Jim?
No, I never. But I'm very familiar with his stuff. His Art of Exceptional Living he had a huge impact on me back in the day.
I've loved it. And being that I'm an I personality, I don't like to read a lot. So if it's not a podcast, I'm probably not going to read it, or something I can read audio and books. But one thing I will say is find something that you love. I'm constantly trying to learn how to be a better leader. With well over 15,000 customers and reps in my organization, I actually struggled as a leader in this industry because it's great being an owner of a company when you have a brick and mortar and you have employees you're paying. But when you've got an army of people, your job is to be an inspirer. You've got to be a helper. You've got to be a giver. You've got to share. And then you can't confuse them. That's even harder. So it's a magic balancing act. And I just couldn't do it without my Bible. So I don't know any other answer there.
All right, Leigh, thank you so much. Here's the last question, the $1 million question. You ready?
I'm ready.
So imagine you had to start all over again and you knew no one. So you didn't know your kids, you didn't know Brent, your contact list was 0. But you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you would do to find prospects, or the first place you go to find prospects and build a network marketing business from scratch?
I love it. Well, first off, I'm a huge fan of looking at personalities. So I'm a big fan of looking for the personalities that match my personality, because people attract people to the similar personalities. So I would make a list and I would rank my list. I would think of every single person I could imagine, even on the internet, social media, the big movie stars, the big top people. And of course, they're going to be on your chicken list because you don't know them if you have no knowledge. So it's how do I track them? Remember, it's a numbers game. So I know that it's going to take me anywhere between 10 to maybe 18 touches, meaning an email, a campaign, a phone call, a text message, a video chat, whatever it is. So I know my odds. So I would make it a goal to do 30 people a day. I know that sounds crazy, but everybody can text message and everybody can send an email. I'm not a great typer. I am dyslexic, so it's even harder for me. So if I can do it, you can do it. But I would do 30 a day and I would know the numbers. So if I reach out to 30, I know that 2 to 4 people would respond. And I know that if I do that 30 again on a follow-up, I would probably end up enhancing the number to maybe 1 more person. And I would just consistently understand the math, because it is a numbers game. You hear that from every direct sales guy that gets up here and talks, and we all say it, but it's the truth. You cannot lie. Some will, some won't, so what? Remember, stick and stay until you get your pay is true. It's so true. So many people quit when they're at the finish line, almost there, and they quit too early. They don't understand they're one prospect from taking their business to the moon. And I have huge vision on view of what it looks like. So have you a dream board? Put a picture of that house you want. Put a picture of what you want. Put a picture of paid for college. Put a picture of that paycheck. Put it somewhere you see it daily. There's a reason why you're doing this. So I would just stick to my goal. I'd stick to the daily accountability and consistency, and I would just work my tail off.
And where would you go? You say you look for people with a similar personality. Would you go to a club? You go to a gym? Would you go to a...
No, I can't say I'm a big workout buff, but I love being in networking events. I like actually doing booths. I'm a big, like finding a local farm group getting together or a local bridal show getting together. I mean, I'm big on booths. Sometimes they're expensive. I try to keep it on the lower end if I'm just starting. But I would actually book some and just get out there, because this is the deal. You will never get better until you talk.
Yeah.
Never. I don't care what you read. I don't care what you hear. I don't care to listen. If it doesn't come out of your mouth, you will never gain that muscle memory of building a business, ever. You can preach it. I can teach it. I can tell people. I teach all the time my teams, and they don't get it until they speak it. And you asked me on the front end what probably made me successful. I told a group of strangers that I was going to be $1 million earner in this company that was barely off the ground and became one of the top companies in the country. And then, of course, now I've just switched careers. I'm going into a new frontier of the health industry with CBD and CBG. And I can tell you right now, it was terrifying. So I did start over, but what I was really wanting was that passion to come back in my life. You know, it goes back to if you pull up to your job or you pull up to what you're doing and you don't like it, you need to make a change. Start looking at what you could do to change daily. And I did, and I am happier than I've ever been. And, you know, me and Brent are going on our 28th year this year. And it's just like those pictures I saw of you and Odie and the kids and jumping. You have magic because you're happy. You're doing exactly where God wants you to be right now. And I just know that's exactly where he's got me right now. So I'm right place, right time, and timing is everything. And I'm running like a wild woman again.
And thank you so much. What's the best way our listeners can connect with you, Leigh?
The easiest way is just go straight to, why don't we do this? Go to We Build It Big And I'm just going to webuilditbig.com. And the other way is probably just send me a great email or text. I don't know if you want me to put my phone number out there. I'll be glad to take numbers and
Sure,
call.
take a number. We can take a number.
Very, very, very transparent.
Go ahead. What's your number? We'll put it in there.
615-238-4606.
What's the area code?
615. I left Memphis, went to Nashville, and then I'm a Dallas girl now. I'm not leaving. I love Texas. So, but I kept my 615 roots. So 615-238-4606. And if you want to look up my little info about me and my company, you can go to Leigh, YAYLEIGH.com. Leigh, and you'll find a little information on me and my trainings and what we do and what we offer.
Hey, ML Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today, you've been hanging out with Leigh Barnes. So keep up the momentum. Go to MLNation.com, go to the podcast tab, and the show notes will be right there. Hey, in order to be successful in network marketing and in life, you must help others. So, Leigh, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with ML Nation. We're grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much, Leigh, and God bless you.
Thank you, Simon. Have a wonderful day here. Bye.